Mickey Talks.
All right, I talk. It is Mickey Talks. I am Mickey Coachella. That is Matt Davis. How you doing, buddy?
Show number 39. We got to go one today.
39, brought to us by Barnes Paving, the fine people at Barnes Paving. Give them a look online at barnespaving.com, BARNES paving.com, or give them a call, 443-243-3710. Amazing people. They're the best. Are they not, Matt? They've been so supportive.
Yeah, thank you, Barnes Paving. They'll give you 10% off, too, for mentioning Mickey Talks.
Yeah, and listen, if you're a fan of the show, just call them up and get something done. Buy a pet rock, like piece of concrete. Do something.
Patch that crack up.
Yeah, patch the crack. Do something. Anyway, Barnes Paving, incredible people. Mention Mickey Talks and get 10% off. Matt, how was your night last night? Did you do anything?
It was good. I was, felt good after seeing our old friend Sarah Fleischer.
That was an amazing show.
Yeah.
And we have another old friend in the studio today that I want to get right to.
Super excited.
I met this gentleman, I guess it's been 12, 15 years ago, somewhere around there.
I think it was longer than that.
Oh, you're right, man.
I think it was closer to 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Comedian, been on Howard Stern, Gene Simmons, Family Jewel. He's the greatest. I love him like a brother, Craig Gass. Craig, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. I have so much to catch up with you on, and I brought a good friend of mine with me.
Please.
Who is a buddy of mine who lives in Vegas, down the road from me, where I live in Las Vegas. And he's been doing stand-up comedy for 2 years, and his stand-up is based on his life. His life, his occupation, rock star.
Love that.
The bass player for the band Five Finger Death Punch. My friend and yours, Mr. Chris Kael, is here with us.
Woo.
Thank you guys for having me. Super stoked about this.
They always
Chris,
say that comedians want to be
rock stars.
Rock stars want to be comedians. You've done it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No mic that I don't love and no mic that doesn't love me. Let's keep that going today.
I'm the same way. I can't walk by a garage door and a light goes off. I don't do 5 minutes, man.
I remember telling my ex about meeting Mickey and saying, like, man, I walked into this club. It was the Comedy Factory. And I don't know what I was in town for. And I said,
I remember you guys, it was the Whack Pack or whatever it was called from the Stern Show.
Okay.
And you guys were at Bohager's that night.
Okay.
And you did a show and then you wanted to come do stand up in a club.
I wanted to stand up in a club. And
because you were like the only real comedian out of all those guys.
Right. It was people that
were the characters of the
characters,
show.
Yeah,
they were cool. I loved them.
The Whack Pack.
Yeah.
Well, my hesitation there is just that we had people that were literally mentally deficient.
I know.
And I'm gonna paraphrase what I said at the time. I don't remember giving this advice to Sal, the stockbroker, but he told me years later, he said, you know what? You really gave us some great advice when you said, if you're going to put mentally deficient people on stage, you're going to have mentally deficient people in the audience. And the word was not mentally deficient. I used another word.
Right.
And but I remember being in this club and hearing about the history of this place called the Comedy Factory. And this is a legendary place. So I wanted to go and see it, and I wanted to get on stage here. Hey, my name's Craig Gass. I'm a comedian at the time. I'm working on the Howard Stern Show. Strangely, I'm back on the Howard Stern Show now for the first time in 20 years. But I said I'd like to get on stage. And there was a lot of, it wasn't just, we're not going to make room for you. It was kind of a, hey, just stand over here. Are you paying to get in? And I was like, well, I'm a comedian. And it was all kind of shitty. And they said, you know what? You'll have to wait for Mickey to show up. And if Mickey says it's okay if you go on stage, then you go on stage.
Here's the funny thing. I imagine in Craig's head, they're like, you have to wait to talk to Mickey. And Craig imagines a guy like 6'2", 240, the enforcer.
Yeah.
And then my little lollipop guild ass comes walking up.
Well, I just remember the intimidation I was feeling from everybody in the room. Like, well, if Mickey says you can go on, but you have to get approval from Mickey. And I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. So I'm waiting. And then I see this guy come in and everyone in the room reacts to this guy. And he definitely comes across as the boss man. And then I'm waiting. And then someone goes, oh, by the way, and then Mickey's in the middle. He goes, what's going on? And they said, this guy over here. And he's like, what? And they go, yeah. And he goes, hey, how are you, man? And I go, I'm good. I just wanted to stop in. I'm a stand-up comedian. My name's Craig Gass. And he goes, you're Craig Gass? And I go, yeah. And he goes, holy shit. And we hugged. Nice. And then,
that's exactly the truth.
The next 30 minutes, it became like
we caught up because we hadn't met since birth. So we caught up.
Dude, I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, it's like as close as two men can get.
Agreed.
To falling in love with each other. Agreed. Is what happened. We started like, oh man, you know who I love? Tony Woods. Dude, I love Tony Woods, dude. And then we started talking about like all of our all the people we loved in stand-up comedy, all the
music,
people we knew in music.
It was crazy.
It was absolutely nuts.
I've said it 1,000 times. If I could bring myself to suck a dick, Craig Gass would be the guy that I'd want to live with the rest of my life, buddy.
So all these years later and 20 years of life experiences that you and I have had.
Yeah.
In this weird spot where Chris and I started a podcast. Well, first of all, we're in town because we're performing in Ocean City this weekend.
Yeah, so the big Boardwalk Festival is coming up this weekend.
Correct.
And you guys are doing a comedy show like at a satellite place, right?
Yes. It's
so
not related. If you're going to the Boardwalk Rock Fest,
you're not
this weekend,
included in this show.
We're not part of the Boardwalk
Right.
Rock Fest, but we're putting on a show for all of our friends who are performing.
Right,
at
all the
Boardwalk.
rock stars are going to be at your show.
All the rock stars. You can
I
see.
love that.
You can see in the Instagram post about the show musicians that are performing this weekend going, "Oh shit, I'm going to be there."
Right.
And so we just wanted a place for all of our friends to hang, and we're doing a show on Friday night. If you're going to Ocean City this weekend, Chris Kael, Five Finger Death Punch, and myself, Craig Gass, comedian, Family Guy, Howard Stern, King of Queens. We're doing a comedy show on the Friday night in Ocean City. All the info is at getgas.com. Getgas with 2 S's.com, or you can go to Chris Kael's socials, my socials, but the ticket link is at getgas with 2 S's.com.
What's the venue you guys are doing?
We're doing it in a hotel at a resort called the Ashore Resort, and they have a venue inside the hotel that they're letting us. That's called the Shore Deck. And Chris and I started a podcast.
Did you have to send a tape? Did you have to send a tape, Craig?
Mickey
VHS.
is hitting a sore spot for comedians where it would be tough to get stage time. I'll never forget that happening to me once from a guy who still does a lot of promoting.
Yeah.
And I will always remember him as the guy. I won't even try to point to where you would know him from, but I just remember him as the guy that would supply heroin to Artie Lang.
Right, got it.
The last guy you should be supplying heroin to.
Right, exactly.
But this promoter, I remember when he was still living in New York, he had this great comedy show that he would do one night a week, and I came in to do a show at his thing, and I said, "Hey, can I do a set so you can watch me?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And I did a set. It went over well, and afterwards I was like, "Hey, so can I call you about getting some dates?" And he said, "Yeah, send me a tape." And I said, "I just did a set for you." Like,
I mean,
what's going to be on a tape that you didn't just see? Like,
well, I have to make sure it works tomorrow as well.
Is that like the comedy blow off?
Well, I'll tell you, Craig, and I'm gonna ask all of you because I have to remove myself from this in order to be subjective. I know that sounds or objective. So about 5, 6, 7 years ago, they were putting together a Baltimore comedy festival, like a younger comic, right?
Okay.
And like a lot of the comics were asking me, "Are you doing the festival?" And I was like, "Well, nobody asked me. Like, it's not my thing. I have to be asked or whatever." And the guy goes, "Well, just call that guy." So I sent him a thing. I was like, "Hey, man, I heard you're putting together a Baltimore comedy festival. I'd love to do a show with you or whatever, be a part of it." And he wrote, "Sounds great. Send me a tape." And I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Wow.
Everybody on that show opened for me 40 times.
Wow.
Just ask any of them.
Right.
So I was like, and I just went like this. I just went, okay. And then I never sent the tape, obviously. But am I a dick?
No.
Matt, what do you think? Am I a dick?
No, man, that guy should have done his homework for real.
I don't know. It was just weird to me. I was like, I got to send a tape.
And by the
Put
way,
together the Baltimore Comedy Factory, didn't know to book you. I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
it's
you know.
weird.
I
I don't know.
had that happen to me just recently, actually, in Las Vegas. There was a comedian rolling through, a guy named Ryan that was coming in, and I liked his stuff. He was playing Wise Guys in Las Vegas, which is the club that I always love going to there.
Sure.
And I sent him a message like, "Hey, man, I see that you're coming. You mind if I get up and do 5-7 or whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, just send me a tape so that Wise Guys knows." I was like,
Oh my God.
"Wise Guys knows."
Yeah.
which by the way is one of the reasons why I love Chris Kael, because this is a guy whose band is not only an arena band.
Yeah, we should explain. By the way, we just said Five Finger Death Punch really fast. Like it's not a big fucking deal.
Roll the tape. Roll the tape.
Yeah. Craig just said it because, Craig has all these huge famous friends. So he always looks to the right of him and goes, Five Finger Death Punch, Guns N' Roses, Kiss,
I stayed in
Trickster.
Bitch
I didn't mean that one. I didn't mean Trickster. But my point is Five Finger Death Punch. Now, I'd be the first to admit, Chris, I love hard rock. I when it gets heavy, it loses me a little bit.
Okay.
Amazing respect for the musicianship and everything. But Matt, I'm sure you know more about Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah. I mean, we've been playing them on different stations we've been on for years.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Of course.
Yes. And the name is much scarier than what the band plays now.
You
In
know
the
who-
beginning, super heavy.
You
but
know
now-
who loved them was Chris Like-a-Lot.
Oh,
He turned me onto them so early, and I forget one of the early songs he played it, and I was like, "Wow, that is a lot to listen to, man. That is a
Dude,
But you guys are insanely good, man.
And they last year, Spotify put out a thing of the end of year, whatever. Five Finger Death Punch, the number 2 most streamed hard rock band in the world behind Metallica, who Chris's band just wrapped up a 2-year stadium tour with. So this guy has been doing stadiums now for the last couple of years.
Incredible.
And
And he's sitting here doing this piece of shit.
and I'm out there doing open mics in front of 15 people on my time off. It's been awesome.
Good for you, bro.
And I love it.
totally down for open mics with 15 people, where 14 of the 15 people are waiting to get on stage themselves.
As a guy, and Chris, were you at the theater show when I had the whole band and I did that whole show?
Yeah, I think I did that show with you.
You did. You went on, and then you
At the
brought us
Hippodrome?
out. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that was at the Lyric.
Oh, okay,
that one was
Lyric.
at the
Okay.
Lyric. Yeah. I was telling him about that show earlier. So, as a guy that can play music like this much, literally and comedy, I know what that feeling is for you, dude. There's no better feeling than playing in front of 70,000 people screaming. Not that I've ever done that, but a huge audience screaming for you, and then 12 people looking at you like you have 4 dicks hanging off your head.
Oh, yeah.
That's the fucking greatest dichotomy of emotion a human being can
What's
have.
amazing is he's mastered the art of stage presence. This guy at comedy shows. I just did I have a residency at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club in Vegas, and I had Chris do some surprise guest sets with me 2 weeks ago there. And the way he walks out on stage, and you'll see it this Friday when you come out to Ocean City.
Yeah.
He just commands a stage for stand-up.
Well, he looks like the second in charge in that show, Vikings. Remember that show on the History Channel? Oh, yeah. He looks like the guy that does whatever the big boss says.
Yeah.
That's who you look like, bro.
Thank you.
Man.
I'll
Hell
take
yeah.
You better laugh. You better laugh at these jokes.
Yeah. If you don't laugh, I will cut the head off of all your children.
Yep.
Put them on spikes.
You're going in the pit with snakes. Let's go.
So the crazy thing is, we started this podcast, which the intention was we're going to be 2 friends who love to hang out with each other. We're also both sober, which is what really connected us in our friendship. I've known Chris for about 10 plus years, but when Chris started posting about his drug addiction and his struggles, I reached out to him as someone who's in recovery myself, and we started bonding over recovery, and it just became this friendship that was like, wow, man, Chris is a really nice guy. And we just decided, let's get together and do this podcast where we just hang out and catch up as 2 friends every week.
It's all
But
true. It's all
we're
true.
only 14 episodes in
man.
Beardo and Weirdo,
15
which
now. 15, with
15
Carrie
episodes.
Wait a minute. You see, Craig, I got to help you. This is why you're not touring twice a year and making $8 million, because you skip over important shit. What's the name of your podcast?
Beardo and Weirdo
There you go. And where
love
can
that.
people find it?
on
Everything.
any place
Perfect.
you get your podcast. But on YouTube is where you will see the craziness, because there are some visuals. Now, we've only got 15 episodes, and in 15 episodes, Chris's girlfriend dumped him. And
Wow, dude.
he read the goodbye letter. Like, he came home to an empty house and he read the goodbye letter on the air. My girlfriend dumped me. Then
in Hawaii.
Bert Kreischer showed up to have an intervention of a 15-year-old kid who's actually never touched alcohol or drugs, but he had a preemptive intervention of a 15-year-old kid who was the son of Dave Buckner from Papa Roach. Then
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
He does this.
A wheel just fell off the car. I'm trying to stay in this son of a bitch, but here's what happened. You're at so Chris loses his girlfriend, reads the goodbye letter on the air.
My girlfriend leaves me.
Your girlfriend leaves you. You're in Hawaii. Bert Kreischer shows up for an intervention for a kid that doesn't have a drug or alcohol problem yet.
Yes.
Am I right so far?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So the kid now is the son of the guy from Papa Roach. He's yet to do a drug, but for some reason, Bert Kreischer felt like he was about to.
And Bert Kreischer was wasted when he gave him the intervention.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
And then
Just trying to follow.
Then Kerry King showed up because he wanted to surprise me. Kerry King just showed up at our studio one day, unannounced. And he's not.
Tell everybody who Kerry King is.
He's the guitarist for Slayer.
Yeah.
He's not known
the
for being
third most downloaded metal band of that year in Spotify.
Probably, yeah.
And Kerry King is not known for being a playful guy, but he's always been incredibly playful and nice to me. Then I had a massive epiphany when 2 months of heartbreak of being away from my girlfriend, I called her and it took her 15 to 20 minutes to explain to me I actually broke up with her, not the other way around. And I didn't even realize it.
You broke up with her?
And I didn't know it. I thought she broke up with me. And I'm in therapy now because I realized that what actually happened was she was upset and she told me the things that were bothering her. In my head, I heard, okay, so you're leaving me.
Right.
And I pushed her away.
Right.
And I pushed her away and I pushed her away. And she's like, I want to do couples therapy. And I said, why would you want to do couples therapy when you clearly don't want to be with me?
Bingo.
And I'm in therapy realizing when she explained to me I was one who broke up with her, it was like I came out of a lifelong blackout.
Yeah. I've explained this 50 times to people recently. And I reached out to you earlier this year, if you remember, and just wanted to tell you some things, how I felt about you. Because when I went through the epiphany you're talking about, it was not just about a girl. It was about me. That's what the real epiphany was.
Okay.
It was about myself. In other words, I had a projection. I projected everything I thought onto everyone around me. That's part of the narcissism of being a performer. It's part of the narcissism. You can't help it. You try to control it. So what happened was I let it get out of control, and I thought everybody in my life should do every fucking thing I want because I'm special, period. I'm special. I know I'm special. And then when you're stuck with nothing and you don't have a pot to piss in or a fucking leg to stand on, all of a sudden you go, okay, Mr. Special, what's so fucking special?
Yep. Wow.
Here's where you are.
That's a painful one.
It's the worst one. But here's what happens after that. You can't tolerate any more bullshit from anybody else because you've forgiven yourself for all the bullshit. And you look at everybody else and you go, hey, I get it. I know what you're doing right now. And I love you. But it's fucking bullshit. Yeah. And until you're willing to go, I know, I'll fucking carry you the whole way if you're telling me you know it's you. You know it's you, or most of it's you, or the real problems deep down are yours, not mine. Stop blaming me. I'll carry you the whole time. Just come clean. It changes your life, bro.
Yeah, I'm going through a really crazy time right now after that epiphany and realizing that I have a lot of work to do. And the question of narcissism comes up that I've had to look at, and I know that there is this thing. I've always acknowledged there's this thing in stand-up comedy. For anyone in this room, you're watching three guys on camera who at one point in their life actually said to themselves, I am so funny, I should be on a stage. That's already crossing a major line.
So I've said on this show, Matt knows this quote. Here's what a stand-up comic is. He's a narcissist with low self-esteem.
Yes.
It makes no sense.
Yes.
You think you're the most important person in any situation, yet please like me.
An egomaniac with an inferiority complex.
That's exactly what we are. And then once I realized what a dumbass I really am for thinking that, here's the thing I learned. I know that I do have something unique and special. Clearly it works. I'm not an idiot. You know you're a great musician. You know you're a great comedian, a great impressionist. You're a moron if you don't acknowledge that. I think what the problem becomes is when you think that that gift that you have or that thing you've been blessed with is more valuable than a guy who performs heart surgery or a guy that performs electrical work or the guy that just fixed my fucking the belt on my car. It's more unique maybe.
Real quick, in our defense, though, all those people, when they walk in a room and do this,
You're
Just
right.
saying. Just
You're
saying.
right. That's a great point, Chris. I've yet to have a fucking guy at Jiffy Lube walk in and go 287.
Yeah.
and me stand up.
He's right there.
Yes, I can't believe Jiffy Lube, Jiffy Lube, Jiffy Lube.
Girls hanging out after the oil change, wanting to
Fuck
talk
yeah.
to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have a pass to be here, miss?
Yeah.
You're just a wiper guy. You don't
Yeah.
even do oil changes.
Yeah, there is one thing though about drug addiction. When you go through a really painful drug addiction and you are humbled by that and you realize you have to swallow your pride and say there is a problem here. I have a problem. I am flawed. There's a lot of humility you have to be able to survive. Like the first year that I got clean, I've been clean now 20 years, totally sober for 20 years. And the first year I got clean, 7 of my friends died, all comedians, 4 drug overdoses, 3 drinking and driving car accidents. The first one was my old roommate, Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah.
And Mitch, they're doing a documentary about him now for Netflix, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah, that will be, because if you remember, Craig, for about 6 years, every new comic wanted to be Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, yeah.
There was 8 million Mitches in the sea at one point, but only one Mitch.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't wait for that documentary.
Yeah, it's a lot of his friends are.
Is it done in his honor?
Oh my God, the guy who's doing it is almost a savant about dates. When he came to his show to ask me if I'd like to participate in this documentary, he goes, "Do you remember what the time frame was that you were living with Mitch?" And I go, "Well, when I first met him, it was 1995 or 96. I started opening for him in Seattle, and then when my role on the Howard Stern show started to grow, I asked him if I could move in, and that was." I moved to his place on April 16th, 1998. And he goes, yes. And he was still living with Jana. And I go, he was. And he goes, and that was before they had the breakup. And he knew some details that I was like, what?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's awesome.
He knows dates. He knows time frames. And I remember telling him, there's a guy I did coke with, and his name was Thomas. And he goes, was it Tommy, blah, blah, blah? And I go, I think it was. I go, I've been wondering what happened to that guy. He goes, I think he's dead. I go, I'm pretty sure he's dead. And
so the guy's like Rain Man doing the documentary.
He is Rain Man doing the documentary.
Yeah.
He's already had some documentaries that are on Netflix, but man, he is a Mitch fan. So,
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy.
So, Chris, let me ask you this. So
Yes,
you're
sir.
in Five Finger Death Punch. Were you involved in the beginning of the band, or did you join it later?
I joined on the 3rd record, actually.
The 3rd record.
Yes.
Okay.
You just stumbled on a great fucking story.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
I'm ready for
So-
a great fucking story.
So I was bartending in Las Vegas at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Nice.
I'd been doing music since I was 15, so played
Right.
a lot of music. And one day, as I'm working in the bar, I was just waiting tables in the bar area. The old bass player Matt, the old bass player of Death Punch, Matt came in.
He's in the band at the time.
Yeah,
Right.
He came into the Hard Rock where I was working, and Matt had a big long beard. I've got a big long beard. Cocktail waitress walks over, says hi to him, comes back. I go, oh, you know the guy at the bar? She's like, yeah, it's Matt from Death Punch. He's my neighbor. So I figured I'd make a beard joke, break the ice, and go say hi, and we'd be friends. No, it didn't work like that at all. No. So I said, hey, you tell him that he's in the big boy beard section and the little boy beard section over there. Figured he'd get a chuckle,
Right.
Macho testosterone bullshit,
Yeah.
And she comes back over after telling him that, looks at me, she goes, I don't know how to tell you this, but he said he's a rock star and you're still waiting tables.
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
oh.
Now, that was in October of 2010, December 28th of that same year, roughly 2 months later.
2 months
Who's
later.
got his gig?
I found out that Matt had been fired from Five Finger Death Punch, and I was just petty enough to go after the job.
That is awesome, man.
Yep.
Wow, that is great.
That is one of the greatest fucking revenge stories.
Yeah,
of
And
all
by the
time.
way-
I didn't even listen to Death Punch before. Like, I didn't care. Like,
Yeah.
I'm super heavy stuff. So, like, the stuff that you can
Yeah.
listen to,
Yeah, that's
in
you.
my car, I wake up to that stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was like, they're cool and whatever. And then that happened. I go, just for the story alone, I'm
the
taking
greatest
this
man
dude-
in the
I am
world.
taking this dude's job. I would not have gone after it nearly as hard had he not been having a bad day and turned my day into me questioning my fucking very existence.
Well, let me ask you about your background then, because like the average bass player on the street wouldn't know where to go to audition for Five Finger Death Punch. So
That's exactly
none of
right.
that
Great
happened
story.
for you.
One of my really good friends, a guy named Saul Englehart. I grew up with him in Kentucky. He was the drum tech for Jeremy of Five Finger Death Punch at that time. So as soon as I heard that they had fired Matt, I was like, dude, you got to get me an audition.
Yeah.
And Saul was like, I don't know, man. Like they're trying to get a name. This was they were getting ready to record American Capitalist, which is the third record.
Right.
So they already had 2 albums out. I've been touring, and they wanted to get a name for press purposes. That,
Sure.
get a name out there and even more eyes on it. So I was like, dude, just get me an audition. That's all I'm looking for. And this was in December. By May, I still hadn't heard anything at all.
Wow.
So I was kind of like, it's been 5
Yeah.
months. Surely
Yeah.
they've got a bass player by now. I didn't realize that they were writing and recording American Capitalist, and then we're going to find a bass player after. So they wanted to get the record done first,
Sure.
and then find the bass
Yeah,
player.
not pay your ass for it.
Exactly.
I get it. Can't
I was
blame them.
thinking.
Trust
You
me,
can't
the
blame
producer,
them.
the
Yeah.
producer makes more than all
Yeah.
of us.
Oh, I
Come
know.
on.
Trust me. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So one night I went to go see System of a Down at the Palms. I was actually at the point where I was working at a bar called the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And making good money. I was like, maybe this thing's not going to work out. Maybe I need to do something else. So I put my basses on Craigslist. I had my amps on Craigslist.
Wow.
I was getting ready to give it all up. One night I went to go see System of a Down in May at the Palms. I used to always do this thing where I'd look at the band and look at the crowd and be like, oh, someday
Yeah.
that's going to be my crowd. The universe is like, motherfucker,
Yeah.
you haven't gone after this yet. You've gone through friends and all that stuff, but you haven't gone directly after this. Anything you've wanted that you've gone after, you've gotten, but you haven't done it with this.
Yeah.
So that night, half liquored up on Crown Royal, I got on Facebook, slid into Jason Hook's DMs, the best sliding into
Guitar
DMs
player.
ever. Yeah, the Jason Hook's our guitarist back then. Slid into his DMs. I said, hey, I hear you're looking for a bass player. Look no further. Again, Crown Royal.
Yeah.
Look no further. I'm your guy. Check our mutual friends. I'm sure they'll all give me a positive recommendation. All I'm looking for is an audition.
Yeah.
He got back to me the next day and was like, that was very forward, but I like it.
Yeah.
And asked me about my vocals and stuff I'd done before Death Punch. I was main vocals and playing bass. I was like,
Right.
vocals. I got this. So
Yeah.
I sent him on that night. I sent him an old song that I'd written, recorded, was singing and everything. Jeremy got in touch with me the next day. Jeremy's the drummer for Death Punch back then. And he goes, hey, we're doing auditions on Friday and Saturday. Can you audition? Now, I was working at the Cosmopolitan that had a full schedule that week. So I told him, as soon as he told me, I was like, in my head, I was like, sign me up. The last one, I want all the trash to come in. And I'm coming in, I'm mopping up the floor, and I'm taking this gig.
Nice.
So I gave away all my shifts that week. I played 3 songs for 10 hours a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Went to the audition on Saturday. And that was the first time that I got nervous because when I walked into the room, Ivan, our lead singer, wasn't there.
Right.
He was like,
He was in a coffin.
he was like, he told everybody, the string players and the musicians, you guys figure out who you want to play with, and then I'll meet them after. Personality.
It's probably smart, actually, if he's running the band, if it's his thing.
Yeah.
I want to make sure my team gets along before I depict it.
Yeah. And it was more of him just not wanting to be in the room.
Of course. I get it.
Lead singers. Yep. I've been one. I know.
Yeah.
And does the band just love your hard rock story now or what?
Oh, they absolutely love it. Yeah. So I went in
and his
I did the
stand up.
audition.
He does it in his stand up, like when he does stand up on Friday night in Ocean City. That's his stand up things. He talks about his experience about being in this band.
I want to hear. So you go in last.
Yep. I go in
happens?
last. And on the way there, the security guard for Death Punch, I knew him back then too. A guy named Case. He messaged me, hey, bro, everybody's coming in here scared. They're uptight. There's no personality. I'm like,
come on. You know who you're talking to.
I got this. Yeah. I'm not a musician. I'm a performer. So let's go.
Yeah.
So walked in. Ivan wasn't there, and I got nervous. And Universe was like, motherfucker, you played these songs for 10 hours a day. Get up there and play it. So went up there, belted out the very first background chorus. And I didn't see it at the time, but they told me later that when I first started singing, they all kind of looked at each other.
Yeah,
and was like,
of course.
If this dude isn't a complete fuck up, then this is our guy. Luckily, I only turned out to be half a fuck up.
Yeah, they'll take half a fuck up. Anybody will take half a fuck up.
So then I had the gig, and that was in May of 2011. Been doing it since then.
That's a great story, man.
Yeah.
So Craig, you're back with Stern now?
Yeah, Howard reached out about a year and a half ago.
Now tell me the truth. Does Howard reach out or his people?
Actually, there was a 2-step thing that happened. When Eddie Van Halen passed away, Howard reached out and said, hey, I've been thinking about you because I lived at Eddie Van Halen's house.
I know that, yeah.
And because of my time at Eddie Van Halen's house, I put Howard and Eddie together.
Yeah.
Because Eddie would every day go, dude, give me Howard's phone number. I want to call him.
That's
and
a good Eddie impression.
And
by
I go,
the way.
yeah, let me just check with Howard, just make sure it's
Yeah.
okay, because Howard's really sensitive about
Sure.
it. And I texted him and said, hey, it's kind of a long story. No, I think I called him. Left him a message. Said, hey, it's kind of a long story. I'm living at Eddie Van Halen's house, and he wants to get in touch with you. I'm assuming you wouldn't mind giving his phone number, giving him your phone number, but just call me or text me. Let me know if that's okay. And he texted me, said that's fine. And so him and Eddie became friends. So the day after Eddie passed away, Howard had me on for like half hour, 45 minutes, just to share stories of what it was like living at Eddie Van Halen's house.
Did he do that thing?
Did you live at 5150 Studios? Is that where you lived?
Yes, which is on his property. It's all
That's incredible.
It's up the hill, right?
I like
in the
how
back.
dry it is.
It's up the hill.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, very matter of fact.
Yeah, Matt. I live with Eddie. Whatever. I'm torn with Chris Kael now. Like what, Matt? What? What do you want to know? Yeah, I
played Frankenstein.
What do you want me to do? All right, I did it.
Frankenstein.
I rubbed my penis all over his guitar when he wasn't there. What do you want me to do?
There's a couple of weird moments that happened that living at that house, and one of them was I lived there in 2004 from January till about May of 2004.
Now that's the no Sammy, no Dave time, right?
They were reunited. Okay, so
This is right there.
when I had a bad breakup with this girl, and at that point,
seems to be a pattern, Gass.
Yeah, and this is why we all turn to comedy right here.
I had a bad breakup.
What's the common thread, though? Craig?
Very,
me, Craig, say it. It's me.
it's always me. I was in a very toxic relationship, and it ended horribly. At that point, I'd been hanging out with this guy, Maddie, who was Eddie Van Halen's assistant, and I would sometimes
Like his personal assistant.
assistant. And I would hang out at the studio from time to time, and sometimes Eddie would come in. He wanted to hang out with me. It was a very weird, strange
Did he ever
relationship.
ask you to do like impressions and stuff?
All that's dude.
Yeah.
Not only that, dude, when the first time we hung out was at a bowling alley. When I first get introduced to Maddie, this guy goes, I'm going to introduce you to this guy. Don't tell anybody. He lives with one of the biggest rock stars on the planet, but don't tell him I told you that.
Yeah.
So he walks me over and he goes, Maddie, hey, man, I don't know if you're a fan of Howard Stern or if you ever watch this TV show or this TV show. This is my comedian friend, Craig Gass. And this guy turns around and goes, dude, I am your biggest fan. I go, get the fuck out of here. Really? What's your name, Maddie? And we start talking. I don't know anybody in Los Angeles. I'm starting to live out there now.
Yeah.
And we exchanged phone numbers. And I said, hey, you want to go bowling? And we made plans to go bowling a week later. He showed up at the bowling alley with Eddie Van Halen. Then I start putting the whole thing together. Okay, so Maddie is Eddie Van Halen's assistant. Maddie lives in a guest house on Eddie's property, and Maddie is such a fan of the Howard Stern show that every morning he wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, goes up to the studio, turns on the Howard Stern show at 6 a.m. and listens to all 5 hours in the studio while he's doodling around in the studio. And when I started showing up on the show, he starts telling Eddie, dude, there's a guy on the Howard Stern show now who does an amazing Lars Ulrich impression. And then a week later, oh my God, the same guy does an unbelievable Morgan Freeman impression. And then a week later, oh my God, the same guy does a Gene Simmons impression. And then on and on and on. And at the bowling alley, when Maddie shows up with Eddie Van Halen, Eddie starts telling me my whole life story. He goes, dude, I know everything about you. Dude, I've been following you for a long time. And one of the stories he told me, and I said, yeah, you're kind of getting that story wrong. And the story was that I said on the air, I've been broke my whole life.
Join the club.
And once I started making money being on the Howard Stern show, all I've ever wanted to own my whole life, all I've ever wanted to own was just an illegal cable box. That's all I've ever wanted.
Right. An illegal cable box.
And it's one of those things you would see ads for in magazines. You have to send money to a P.O. box.
Right, yeah.
It's super sketchy. I finally got one of them. At the bowling alley, Eddie Van Halen goes, dude, I heard you broke your whole life. Is that true? And I go, yeah. And he goes, me too. I grew up in the fucking ghetto, man. And he goes, and dude, I heard that, is this true? All you ever wanted was a legal cable box? I go, yeah. And he goes, that's crazy because, and he looked both ways and he went, I got a legal cable box too. And I go, really? Eddie Van Halen has an illegal cable box? And he looks at me and goes, yeah. He goes, the thing is, I'm fucking rich, but don't want to pay for cable. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you serious? And so for the next year and a half, I would hang out at the studio with Maddie, and then Eddie would show up, and then we'd all hang out and laugh. And it was so relaxing. And I knew it was unusual because he was such a hermit.
Yeah.
He never goes out of his house, and he's a very shy person, but he loved me. So I get in a bad relationship. Everybody knows it's a bad relationship. Then it ends horribly one night. I call Maddie and I go, dude, you're not going to believe what just happened. And he said, hold on. Eddie wants to get on the phone with you. Eddie got on the phone. He goes, dude, I told you she was a fucking skank. And I go, yeah. And he goes, and you're living with her. He goes, why are you living with that girl? And I go, she's besides you and Maddie, she's the only person I know in this town. And he goes, dude, pack up your shit. Just move in with me. And I go, is that okay? And he goes, yeah, dude.
Wow.
You can live in the fucking recording studio. The only thing is, don't tell anybody, but the band's getting back together, so it's going to be noisy at night, you know? And I said, so the only thing I have to worry about is the fact that
Van Halen's going to practice in my living room.
Van Halen's going to be playing in the next room. And he goes, well, I know you're working on that TV show. Because I was working on a brand new show on NBC. It was a brand new show on a brand new show on NBC called Las Vegas that I was doing with Alec Baldwin.
I remember that show.
And oh God, why am I spacing his name? From The Godfather, the main star of the show, James Caan.
Oh, James Caan. Dude, how great is he?
And dude, James Caan is amazing. And
was he a dick?
No, he's amazing.
Okay.
No, but he did something that was an unintentional dick thing. I told him jokes all day, every day.
Right.
Told Alec Baldwin jokes every day.
Right.
Dude, Alec Baldwin would come in every day and go, can I hear some more of your impressions? I love your impressions. You mind if I hear some more of your impressions? I go, yeah, do you mind? I'd always have friends visiting.
Yeah.
I go, this is my buddy Chris. Will you do your Tony Bennett impression for my friend Chris? And Alec Baldwin did killer impressions. That
He does do killer impressions.
Dude, he has a Tony Bennett where you go, what the fuck does Tony Bennett sound like? And he'll grab an empty martini glass and go,
I got to tell you.
I'll tell you what. I used to date Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was a real foxy lady. I once made love to Marilyn for up to 12 hours until the paramedics came along and said, Tony, she's gone. Like the material was so dark. It was so dark. And I would tell James Caan jokes all day long. And then someone told me, hey, did you know every season of Las Vegas, they do a director's cut of just one episode of every season. And the season that you were on is the season where they feature your episode. And I said, no way. So I watch it. And the director's cut for this particular episode is with the guy who created the show, with James Caan.
Yeah.
And they're watching. They go, all right, so I got James Caan here with me. And James, anytime you want to chime in about any memories you have about the show. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. And so they're watching it. My first time I come on camera, I'm doing an impression of somebody.
Yeah.
And James Caan goes, wow, that guy was good. And he goes, yeah, you hung out with him all day, every day. And he goes, I did? And he goes, yeah, that's Craig Gass. And he goes, wow. And then the next time I come on camera, he goes, wow, that guy's funny. And he goes, yeah, you hung out with him. And he goes, I don't remember. And and every time I come on camera, James Caan keeps going, man, that guy's really talented.
I like this guy.
And he goes, you hung out with him. And he goes, I did. And he goes, yeah. And he just gets more insulting with every appearance that I make on camera. Anyways, back to Eddie Van Halen is the one funny story that I have, there's a lot of them. I promised that I was going to tell some of these stories on stage in Ocean City this weekend for the comedy show. And by the way, Ocean City, the tickets for the comedy show we're doing, getgas.com. Get gas with two S's.
Gas with two S's.com.
If you're going to the Boardwalk Rock Fest,
yes,
come out to the comedy show on Friday night when everybody gets into town. We're all going to be hanging out.
Even if you're not coming to that comedy show,
right?
We are going to crush.
Yes.
Five Finger Death Punch pre-party. Let's go.
Is it just you two? Just the
two of us, and then there's some friends that want to do stuff. We'll see what happens. It depends on how the cars.
Do you have an end time on the show?
Well, we're starting at 7, and then I don't know what time we're going to end. I think we're just going to.
Because knowing you're going to just go, all right, come on up. What do you want to talk about? Come on up.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's not a show. It's like a hostage situation. So I love it.
So the one story I want to share about Eddie Van Halen here is I went to a Metallica show in March of that year. I brought Maddie with me, and there was this.
Wait, you brought Eddie Van Halen's assistant with you to see Eddie?
To see Metallica.
Oh, to see Metallica.
Yeah, I'm
sorry. Got it.
To see Metallica. Yeah. And I met a cute girl at the show. We were flirting, started texting each other. At the end of the night, she calls me up at midnight and says, hey, what are you doing? And I said, I just got home. And she goes, where's home? And I said, I'm in the Hollywood Hills. And she goes, well, I just dropped off my friends. You want me to come over? And I said, sure.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. Let me check I don't know if that's okay. And she goes, oh my God, I'm sorry. You have a girlfriend? And I said, no, I do. No, I'm single. I'm
more important. Yeah. I live with the greatest guitar player of all time.
And I said, well, I don't know how to say that. So I just say, I'm living in a very unusual situation. So let me call you back. And I hung up the phone and I found Ed and I was like, hey, Ed, I don't know if Maddie told you, but I met a girl tonight at the show. Is it okay if I bring her up here? Like, I'll just keep her at the studio.
Yeah.
And he goes, dude, get some pussy. And, all right, cool. So I called her back and I said, hey, can you meet me? I can't bring your car up to the property that I'm at, but you'll have to meet me down the hill at a Ralph's supermarket. And she jumped in my car and she's like, why do you need permission to have somebody over? And I said, it's a weird, and I don't know how to go. Look, I live with Eddie Van Halen.
Right, yeah.
So I bring her up. I take her through the back entrance, which is where the studio is at. And then I open the door of the studio. I let her walk in first. And she walks in and she goes,
she's looking all around.
She's looking all around. She goes, wow, is your friend like the biggest Van Halen fan on the planet or what? And I go, yeah, I mean, and then she starts looking at the plaques and going, how do you get stuff like this? And I went, do you hear the noise in the next room? That's Van Halen. And this is Eddie Van Halen's house, and he's just letting me stay here until I get on my feet again.
Wow.
And and the answer to the next question that every guy asks, probably 5 minutes. It was probably like 5 minutes from that point. It was just like, it was an instant like, all right,
of course.
I trust you.
Now, when she was done with you, did she get up and walk in the other room?
So they were in a toxic relationship for the next 7 years.
Yeah,
exactly.
I actually had that happen to me too. Like having like repair dudes come into the house and not knowing that I'm in the band and like seeing the plaques on the wall and be like, hey, like you must really like Five Finger Death Punch. I'm like, actually, no, not really. Not really.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I got a great story for you that I want you to tell one day better than me. It's a Gene Simmons thing when Kiss came to do Hammerjacks, right? When they were getting ready to do, I think they were releasing a Live 3 in the early 90s. Right,
I believe this was the Revenge tour.
It was a warm up for something.
Yeah, they did a run of small.
Well, anyway, they come to Hammerjacks, right?
Okay,
and Gene was very sick. Like he didn't really come to soundcheck, but he comes walking down the hallway in the back of Hammerjacks, led into the office, and he walks in. And I've told that story a million times. Where I sat there with him for about 20 minutes, and I literally said to him, I was like, "Let me ask you, dude. Honestly, who got more pussy, you or Elvis?" And he chuckled and he looked me dead in the face. He said, "I wish I could do it like you." He said, "I got more pussy in 1977 than Elvis got in his entire career."
Wow.
And I went, and we laughed, right? And so
I wouldn't say I was proud of it.
Yeah, exactly. But the funniest part of the story is like maybe 45 minutes later, we had stopped talking. His tour manager had come in. Eric Singer came in there. They were talking. I kind of walked away. But then I come back like an hour later, and he's still sitting in there. And I answered a phone call, and I'm arguing with someone, and Gene's sitting at the desk. And she goes, "I want to talk to the owner." And I go, "You want to talk to the owner?" And Gene just goes and looks up at me. And I go, "Hold on." And I hand him the phone, and I swear to God, he goes, "I'm not interested. We're sold out. And we don't buy that brand." Like, never said hello, never said anything. And he hangs up and he looks at me and goes, "I think I answered any possible question." And I was like, he was just the coolest guy, man.
There's so many stories from doing the impression of Gene on the Howard Stern show led to, first of all, the confrontation with Gene Simmons, where Gene showed up to confront me live on the air about the impression.
You know that story, right, Matt?
Oh, yeah, of course. I've seen it.
And you were in makeup, right?
The first time he came in, he just showed up at the studio.
Were you out? You weren't in makeup, right?
No, the first time we didn't know he was coming. Gary came in and said, "Hey, so we got a problem. I need your attention, guys. Or listen, Gene Simmons from Kiss, he just walked in the building. He wants to beat the fuck out of Craig right now." And I went, "What? He's here?" And I go, "Well, we're not going to let him come up, though, right?" And he said, "Well, all the security guards are big Kiss fans. I've already let him in without a pass." And I was like,
"Oh my God!"
They just let Gene just walk right through the building. And then a couple things happened the next day. One was I got a call from their management company, McGee Entertainment.
Yeah, Larry.
And they said, "Hey, we represent Kiss, and we wanted to reach out to you to tell you that our singer, Paul Stanley, is your biggest fan." And I said, "Get the fuck out of here!" And they said, "No, don't tell
loves
anybody."
It, of course.
He loves when anybody makes fun of Gene.
Of course, right.
And then we had a show meeting where Gary said, "Hey, you guys aren't going to believe this."
I love his Gary impression.
I just got off the phone
with the Kiss headquarters.
You know.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that sentence should have been, "Hey guys, you're not going to believe this. There's a fucking Kiss headquarters." You know what I mean? Like there's some Legion of Doom with 4 superheroes flying around.
Death Star.
With the Death Star.
And there's one young fucking Jedi out there trying to save it.
and he goes, Gene Simmons wants to come back in a month, and he wants to be a guest on the show. And he only has one request. His one request, he says, "I don't want to be there when Craig's around." That's his one request.
Right.
And I said, wouldn't it be funny if I showed up anyway? And then we started brainstorming. I was like, ooh, what if I showed up and dressed up in a full Kiss costume and confronted? And then that's what ended up happening. So I dressed up as Gene Simmons and confronted him.
He looked like he was a good sport about it. Was he not?
Totally good sport about it.
Yeah.
It was scary to do at the time because you don't know how he's going to take it.
Yeah.
But it's like over time, everyone that has anything to do with Kiss is contacting me privately. Like
of course.
Former employees are
Of
telling me
course.
stories. I remember being at a show and this guy,
Dude, you're taking the piss out of the boss.
Right.
Who doesn't love that?
Oh, dude, even other rock stars. I filmed.
Of course.
I filmed.
He kept telling him he was the real Gene Simmons.
Yeah,
It was
that
great,
was the
yeah.
best thing.
I filmed a music video
When you
last
called
year.
him an imposter,
Right.
was the greatest
Right,
line ever.
yeah.
You, sir, but the way you did it, you, sir, are an imposter. I couldn't stay naked.
A year ago, I did a music video with Sebastian Bach, another guy who lives in our town. of
Love
Las
Sebastian.
Vegas. And Sebastian told me, dude, I went to that guy's fucking house, and that guy has a fucking Kiss museum in his house. Which is true. Gene Simmons had an entire wing of his house that had every piece of Kiss
He
merchandise.
showed it on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It looked like a storefront.
Sebastian Bach walks into that room and he goes, "There's a fucking bag with like 100 Kiss cell phone covers." I said, "Dude, what the fuck is that?" And Gene Simmons goes, "That's our new promotion for Kissmas. That's our new Kiss cell phone covers. Can I have one of those?" I wish I could, but if you go to kissonline.com, and he wouldn't give him a piece of plastic.
My favorite piece of Kiss merchandise ever was Kiss air guitar strings.
Oh, that's right.
No
It was an
way.
empty bag.
Empty
right?
bag.
Empty
Kiss.
bag.
I was like, I mean, fuck.
It's
God
brilliant.
bless off, sir.
And,
Brilliant.
I've heard so many rock stars attack him for that, like the marketing and all. I say this to anyone: if I'm in a band, I'm trying to sell, or as a comedian,
Yeah.
I'll sell corn on the cob.
It's the
with
only
my
way
name
now,
on it.
right, Chris? I mean, it's literally the
Yeah.
only way.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we are a band, but
Yeah.
number one, we are sellers of black T-shirts.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what you
That's
do,
our,
man.
That is our
Yeah.
gig.
I forget who said it. It was a great rock quote. It might have been Slash or somebody like that once said, somebody said, "Do you think this music is important?" He said, "Well, it's important to get people to buy your shirts and shit." And I thought, man, that's fucking brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mickey and I have this unique thing in common where we both have this ability to do impressions, and it's led me to actually meeting the people I do impressions of.
Yeah, but you son of a bitch, what
And
you did to me that night.
One night, someone said that they could bring somebody to dinner in LA. I didn't believe them. And when they did bring the person, I was genuinely starstruck, and I'm hanging out with the guy, and I'm trying to be cool, but I'm nerding out. I'm asking him about stand-up comedy. I'm asking him about where he started. I'm asking him about his entire career. And kind of like when we had Kerry King show up to surprise us, my brain just started going, "Oh, I know something I can ask you about. Oh, I know another thing about you that nobody knows that I could ask you about." And I started, and then all of a sudden it hit me. Cedric, the entertainer, I know somebody in Baltimore, a stand-up comedian who does an amazing impression of you. And he goes, "Yeah, what's his name?" And I go, "His name's Mickey Coachella. He does an amazing impression of you. I'm going to see if I can try to find it." And I'm like, "I don't know where it is. I don't know." And he goes, "Let's just call him." And I go, "All right." So I call up Mickey.
I'm literally, now you got to remember, you're in LA.
I'm in Los Angeles at
So it's
dinner.
like 9 o'clock for him. It's like midnight.
Yeah.
I'm half asleep on my couch. By the way, I'm depressed out of my mind. And
Were
I get a
you
text.
really?
Well, yeah, I was in a bad spot then. I get a text, and all it says is, "Dude, I'm calling you in 20 minutes. Answer the fucking phone." That's what it said.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "You got it." So 20 minutes later, I get a call, and it's Craig, and he says, "Hey, Mickey, I'm sitting here with somebody. I'd like you to talk to. And I said, all right, who's that? He goes, but you got to do me a favor. I said, what? He goes, you got to talk to him like Cedric the Entertainer.
I've been hyping up your impression of Cedric the Entertainer. Do you mind doing it?
So I go, yeah. Now he doesn't say it's fucking Cedric, right? So I'm sitting. God, I haven't done this in a long time. But basically, I'm on the phone. I'm waking up and I go, hold up, Craig. What the hell is this? You calling me up at midnight? Trying to get me to do somebody's voice that I don't feel like doing. And all I hear is this fucking table explode in laughter.
Right.
And I just hear Cedric going, who is that? And I go, who the hell is this? and then the best part was Cedric's laughing so hard. And I hear Craig trying to get out the words, dude, it's I go, yeah, it is Cedric. Who the hell is it? And it just went from there. And then Cedric, I did the nicest thing, man. Mm-hmm. He wrote my name, put it on his Instagram, said I heard the best impression of me I ever heard.
Wow, that's cool, man.
And then he never knew I was a white kid, though, did he?
Because
when I responded, I responded in his DMs.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this. And I said, Cedric, thank you for that compliment. That was unnecessary. I love Craig Gass, and I'm a huge fan. And he wrote back, hold up.
No way.
He wrote, hold up. Are you white? And I said, yeah. And he wrote, no shit. And I never heard from him again. That's a true story. That is an absolute true story.
See, now he had a good experience. I had a bad one because I had, and it all started with a prank phone call when I was still doing open mics.
Yeah.
There was an open micer that worked at a hotel in downtown Seattle who said, hey, man, you guys know that grand opening of Planet Hollywood that's happening? All the stars from the grand opening are staying at my hotel. And I was like, who's staying in your hotel? And he goes, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You go, my act is staying in your hotel today.
Well, it was the third one. He goes, Tom Arnold. I go, Tom Arnold staying at your hotel? He goes, yeah. Tom Arnold had just killed it in 9 months. And what was the other one? That action movie.
Yeah, I know the one you're with Schwarzenegger.
With Schwarzenegger.
The Total Lie.
True Lies.
True Lies, yeah.
So I go home that night and I call the Hilton that he's staying at. And I said, hi, Tom Arnold, please. And this lady goes, okay, just one moment. Puts me right through. Oh I was working in radio, but I never recorded this. He picked up the phone and he goes, hello. And I said, Tom, it's Sam Kinison.
Oh, my God.
Sam Kinison had been dead for 5 years at this point. And Tom Arnold goes, hey, buddy, how you been? It's good to talk to you. And I go, Tom, I need some help. I'm in the afterlife, and I need your help. Whatever you need, buddy. Just tell me what you need. I'm going to help you out. Well, what I need is some cocaine. And so I want you to do is I want you to purchase some cocaine. I need you to front me the cash because I don't have any cash. And then this is where it gets tricky. I want you to fly to Los Angeles. I want you to take the cocaine. And I want you to drive to Jerry Lewis's house. And when he answers the door, I want you to take the cocaine and put it in the small pocket of his pants, and I'll have it when he gets here in 3 weeks. Oh! 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 And then I stopped and said, hey, Tom, my name's Craig Gass. I'm a comedian. I'm a huge fan of yours.
Oh, my God.
He was super nice to me and asked me to give him a tape. Years later, I start doing an impression of Tom Arnold. Including on the Howard Stern show now. And I see Tom Arnold years later. I finally see him face to face at a roast at Cheech and Chong. And I go, Tom, Craig Gass. And he went, oh, hey, yeah, you're great. You're great. So he clearly didn't like the.
He's sick of it.
Well, I'll tell you what the problem is. I'm actually skipping over. I'm trying to let myself off on this.
Yeah, I've testified him against them at a pedophile trial. Something like that. I mean, what the hell?
No, okay. I'm skipping over a big part of the story, which is I go to the Super Bowl every year to broadcast, and I interview the players every year at the Super Bowl. My sports radio friends who are broadcasting all week long from the Super Bowl, they have nobody there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Right. It's dead at the Super Bowl. Then Thursday, the stars start showing up. And Friday, it's a shit show of stars.
Yeah.
Athletes and whatever. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, my sports radio friends will say, can you come on and pretend to be somebody famous?
Yeah, sure.
So it sounds cool back in Des Moines. So the only remotely sports guy I can do an impression of is Tom Arnold. And every year at the Super Bowl, I will go full-blown Tom Arnold, and they'll go, we're live at the Super Bowl. We're being joined by the former host of the Best Damn Sports Show, Tom Arnold, is live with us. Tom, what's going on?
Not much. It's very exciting to be here at the Super Bowl. A lot of celebrities are coming into town. I was actually at a Cocaine Anonymous meeting last night with Brett Favre. I probably shouldn't say it out loud. Brett's a big cokehead, and his sponsor.
Oh my God!
His sponsor is Bob Costas. Bob's addicted to upskirt porn, and I probably shouldn't say that out loud, but he's always pumping off at work. And I'll just start naming sports guys and attaching them to addictions.
Oh
and
my God!
Every year, the internet will attack the real Tom Arnold, and then Tom Arnold will fight every individual and go, "Hey, did you notice that Sam Kinison was also on the air? That guy's been dead for 30 years, you fucking idiot. That wasn't me. It was Craig Gass. I wish he would stop." So, yeah.
Have you ever gotten has it ever gotten scary for you with a celebrity?
That I do an impression of?
Yeah.
Gene, I got scared of. I remember when I first started looking for a place in Vegas.
Yeah.
I had tweeted that I was in Vegas looking for a place to live, and I was at the Rio Hotel.
Wow.
I got a text from an employee from KISS.
Yeah.
Who said, "Dude, are you at the Rio Hotel right now?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "I'm downstairs. There's a KISS mini golf downstairs at the Rio." And he said, "Gene is in the KISS mini golf right now. He wants to talk to you." And
Are you serious?
And I've never been alone with Gene Simmons.
Oh
so
my
I'm
God.
afraid, holy shit, this is the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't respond to the text for over 45 minutes to an hour. Comedian friend calls me up and goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Right now, I'm avoiding Gene Simmons." And he goes, "What do you mean you're avoiding Gene Simmons?" And I go, "Dude, I tweeted out that I'm in Vegas at the Rio, and I just got a text from an employee. You don't know this, but at the Rio Hotel, they have an official KISS mini golf downstairs at the Rio. And an employee for KISS just said, Gene Simmons is downstairs. He wants to talk to you."
Wow.
And I said, "Well, what are you scared of? Why are you not going down?" I go, "I've never been alone with him."
Right.
And I'm afraid that this is going to be
the moment.
This is going to be the moment he really hauls off and just tries to beat the shit out. And my comedian friend, thank God, said, "Are you fucking kidding me? If Gene Simmons beat the fuck out of you at KISS mini golf, do you know how great that story would be?" And I go, "You know what? You're right." I put on my flip flops and I went downstairs to take my beating. And it was this Gene entertaining two people who had paid $5,000 a piece to hang out with him. And when I showed up, he goes, "All right, go ahead."
Did he really?
I go, what do you mean go ahead? And he goes, "Come on, you know." And I go, "Oh, you want me to entertain? Hey, I'm Craig. I'm a comedian friend of his." And he goes, "Come on, impressions, go." And I go, "Oh, all right. Who do you guys want to hear an impression of?" And I'm doing impressions for his friends. And at one point, his friends say, "How'd you learn how to do the voices? Like, do you practice?"
Yeah.
I said, "It's kind of a weird story. My whole family's deaf, and so I couldn't learn how to talk for my family. I watched TV, and I learned how to talk by watching TV and copying all the voices." And they go, "Is that true?" And I go, "It is." And then Gene Simmons goes, "It's true. His family's deaf, and he's dumb." And I'm like, so he clearly thinks of me kindly and is nice to me.
I'll tell you what, I remember watching that Family Jewels show when you were on it, and you did the fake interviews for him, which was so fucking brilliant. When you called radio stations and serious
as Gene Simmons.
Yeah, it was amazing. But one of the things he says on that show, Craig, I think it's a little lost on you. I think he's talking to his wife or his son, and they were like, "Isn't it weird having somebody do that?" And he went, "Not when he does it as good as he does."
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, that's in the show, dude.
Whoa.
And basically, it's like he's kind of saying, "Well done, son."
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has been incredibly kind to me. Paul loves it. Paul
Well,
Stanley.
Paul, listen. I mean, your Paul's I do it on my very first comedy CD. This is just something I put on it. My very first one. This is 30 years ago, I guess. If you let the last track play.
No
last
way.
bonus
You got
track.
a hidden.
It's like
There we go.
like 8 minutes in. You got to let it play for like 8 minutes, and all of a sudden, I just go. You hear me, and it's live. I go. You know what's confusing when you're a young heterosexual man, and you're 9 years old, and your hero seems really cool at the time, but 30 years later, when you look back on it, it's really kind of bizarre, right? That this guy in full makeup that had a lisp had such control over me. And everything he said started with, listen. And I just started doing this whole thing. And the end of the bit basically is like, that is why now I can no longer have any problem with the gay community.
Yeah.
Because my first hero was the biggest flamer I ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, his voice, when his speaking voice, I know you don't want to say anything bad.
No, I mean, there's two different Paul Stanleys, and this is one that.
And by the way, I give Paul most of the credit
Yeah.
in that band for the songwriting.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but I think Paul's the McCartney of that situation.
It's the one voice that Chris and I will go into tangents on. We'll just do Paul Stanley. We had there was a story that we started talking about on the podcast on Beardo and Weirdo about how Paul Stanley was helping out the firefighters in Los Angeles.
We're going to.
And it just turned into Chris just doing the stage rap of, what was the stage rap? Like,
I don't remember now.
All right, people.
Yeah.
Who wants some water
Yeah.
over here? Let me hear you. How about over here?
I
Out of the air. How about these maniacs down the middle?
I can't hear you.
and then Gene Simmons is in the middle of the forest just blowing out fire, just making it worse for everybody, and fucking all the firefighters' wives while they're trying to put out the fire. So there's two different Paul Stanleys.
Wow, that story got dark quick. It was funny as shit as Paul is the fire commissioner. And then Craig's got Gene fucking people in the back of the trucks.
Paul Stanley, there's two Paul Stanleys. There's offstage Paul Stanley, where I heard him say in an interview, the question was, why is Kiss so amazing? And Paul Stanley said, you know,
This is the greatest quote in rock history. I know it. I love it.
A lot of bands are envious of Kiss. I'm even envious of Kiss.
I think you're thinking of
Some people like steak and some people like ice cream. But you don't have steak with ice cream, and that's why Kiss is so great. What the fuck?
and then there's onstage.
You got to
Paul
do
Stanley.
the dinner roll.
Oh yeah, what is it?
You go. Some people.
Oh, we're the kind of band like yes. Some people. Wait.
It was Paul.
Yeah, and it was some people
Like steak.
Like steak. Some people like ice cream.
We're the kind of
Band
band
that sticks around for the
rolls.
rolls. Yeah. And then there's onstage Paul Stanley, where I heard Paul Stanley say in Las Vegas, I heard him say,
All right, people, now listen. You know, I know this town, Las Vegas, Nevada, is known for its buffets. And I can tell you right now after this show, I see a lot of people in the front row that I really want to eat.
and he started fixing his hair, and I was like, the fuck? I saw the same show 3 months later in New York at Madison Square Garden. I brought a bunch of comedians backstage with me, Jeff Ross, Jim Norton, Steve Byrne. And anytime somebody who works for Kiss is walking past, I go, hey, man, these are my comedian friends. By the way, were you listening in Vegas when Paul said he was going to eat the front row? And 3 different employees for Kiss said, did you hear what he said in Omaha? No, I go, ask about Omaha. And apparently on stage in Omaha, Paul Stanley went,
All right, people, now listen. I know this town, Omaha, Nebraska, is known for its Angus beef. And I can tell you right now after this show, I'm going to want to sink my teeth into some meat.
and the whole arena went, what? And he goes,
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a thigh or a rump roast.
and the arena went, what? And apparently, guitar techs behind the stage were sitting there tuning guitars going, what the fuck's he doing? It's crazy to
My
me.
favorite line I ever heard of somebody work for Kiss, it was in Maryland. He played what we call it Landover, and it's really between DC and Baltimore.
Yes.
So he comes out, and I guess he looks at the stage, and it's Landover, Maryland.
Yeah.
So he comes out, and he goes, "What's up, Landover?" And everybody goes, "Ah!" And he goes, "And surrounding
He
communities."
did that. It's one that I quote all the time. The Mohegan Sun Casino.
It's the funniest line ever.
It's located in Uncasville. It's in between New York, Providence, Boston, and Hartford.
Right.
But it's Uncasville. And repeatedly throughout the show, he said, Uncasville and the surrounding communities. Let me hear ya. And he did that multiple times. And at the end of the night, he said, Uncasville and the surrounding communities. We love you. That should cover it.
We actually opened up for Kiss in Germany.
Five
for 2
Finger?
shows. Yeah,
Wow.
this has been several years ago. And on our way to rehearsals in Los Angeles, we're taking a Southwest flight, and I'm seeing this guy over there. I'm like, this guy's really trying hard to be Paul Stanley. Like, who the fuck? And then finally I see people go up. I'll go, oh my God, Paul Stanley's on the Southwest flight with us right now.
Wow.
And I didn't realize that Ivan, our lead singer, had gone up to Paul. I was like, hey, I want to introduce myself. We're playing with you guys over in Germany. And Paul's like, what's the name of the band? And Ivan goes, it's Five Finger Death Punch. And he's like, oh, well, that's the name. Yeah.
Oh my God.
We go on. He was A1, so he was in the very first row. I didn't see Ivan do that. So as I'm walking in, I'm like, hey, I want to introduce myself. I know, Five Finger Death Punch. I was like, sorry.
All right, let's do this quick thing, Matt. We're going to do everything at the end together. Starting tomorrow, our new sponsor, Natalie's Seafood Kitchen, kicks in. We're really excited about that, Craig. We got 2 sponsors now.
Great.
This
Awesome.
show, yeah,
Woo,
we are almost up to lower middle class, and I'm thrilled. It is Matt's Music Minute. This just weird across the board music stuff. It could be pop, classical, anything. What do we got, Matt?
All right, well, we got to lead with the Gene Simmons story, right?
I'm in.
Yeah,
From
so
Kiss.
he caught a lot of flack about his recent proposition where you could pay $12,000 to be his roadie for a day.
Yeah.
Well, turns out there's a guy who decided to be his personal assistant. And when he performed in New Jersey last week, Dwayne Rosado, 52-year-old retired corrections officer from New York, plopped down $12,500 for him and his 13-year-old son to spend the day with Gene. And he tells the New York Times it was worth every single penny.
I'm not gonna lie. If my son at 12 years old was like a Kiss fan, and I grew up a Kiss fan, and it cost me $12,000 to have that kind of moment with my son, I'm not gonna lie. I think Gene's kind of a dick for doing it. Like, it's one of those things where if the guy pays it,
Well, listen to what you get, okay?
yeah,
Because here's what the guy said too. He said nothing can beat tonight.
right,
You know what I mean?
of
Diehard
course,
Kiss fan.
yeah.
So this is what he got to do. In return for that chunk of change, Dwayne and Zach helped set up the stage. They watched sound check, at which Zach played guitar and his dad got behind the drums.
All right, shit's getting cooler.
Ready? They had dinner with Gene Simmons.
Very cool.
Hung out with him for 2 hours and discussed a number of topics, including retirement. And on stage, Gene introduced Dwayne and Zach and gave them a signed bass.
Now, my
All right.
question is, who paid for dinner?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right. Is that in the 12.5?
Yeah.
Is that an add-on?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
Gene. Yeah,
This
Gene.
weekend in Ocean City, Maryland, for $12, you can touch Chris's beard.
We haven't talked about that. You can go to chriskael.com
Yeah, yeah.
for the $2,000 Chris Kael beard experience.
Right,
I will
yeah.
let you touch the beard.
I got to ask you, bro. Seriously.
sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
how old is it?
14 years this month, actually.
Okay, and
Yeah.
when did you braid it? Originally, did you start braiding it at 14 years ago?
When Matt came into the Hard Rock, I had my beard about down to the middle of the chest. So I had it then. I cut my beard to get a new job in Las Vegas 2 days before I found out that they were looking for a bass player.
Oh my God!
Yep. Yep.
Now, honest, I mean, I know in a band, women throw themselves at you, but does the
Dudes too. Dudes
really
too.
dudes too? Oh, I don't know. I thought, wow, this band's getting awesome. Both sides are trying to. But like, do chicks dig it? Like on the streets, do girls come, or does it intimidate?
You know,
women?
there was, because it is dreadlocks.
Yeah,
I've heard cultural appropriation
yeah,
only from white chicks.
right. Of
Yeah,
course.
they're the only ones.
Yeah.
Black
Hilarious.
chicks love it. They
Yeah.
always come up, baby, let me see that beard. You mind if I
Right,
touch
right,
that thing?
right.
I'm like,
Last
this is
night.
incredible.
We went to the AC/DC show here at the stadium last night, and there were some black chicks that were doing security for the show. They were like, "Oh my God, I love your beard."
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I can't do it. I try to grow up. I look like I have leukemia. You ever see
Yeah.
them guys just can't it patchy and
Oh
shit?
yeah. See, I was the
Oh,
guy
I'm the
in
worst.
like junior high that had a full beard.
Yeah,
That
not
was
me.
Yeah.
I was the guy at the Orange Julius at the mall, right? That had like 4 whiskers and wouldn't shave them. It's the worst. I get like a 5-week shadow. It's horrible.
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck. I look at a beard like that and I go, fuck. That beard saves lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You-
One of my favorite experiences walking down the street, you'll see a guy who's very proud of his beard.
Yeah.
The girlfriend of him, she knows that he's very proud of the beard.
Right.
Sees my beard, it's like,
Yeah, pussy.
Happens all the time. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm just here to inspire. Just here to inspire.
What else we got, buddy?
Well, Creed is heading to the Indianapolis 500. The band struck a deal with Meyershank Racing to have their logo.
I get
on
it.
the
They're
number
going to
60.
see. They're going to see if they can drive a car as fast as they drove their career.
Can you change my tires?
Yeah. I was never a big Creed fan.
No?
Is that the one Mark Tremonti's in?
Yes.
I like that dude a lot.
Yeah.
Like I got to meet him. He was good friends with Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh,
really
yeah.
good friends. And I met Mark when he came through with another band, and he was awesome. But I met Scott Stapp once, and maybe it was a rough time for him. I know he went through some shit.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a great experience with him. That's all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's my experience.
Great
with
band,
him.
though. Incredibly talented band. They've got their logo on the number 60 Honda, driven by Felix Rosenquist. All 4 band members will also attend the race, which takes place on May 25th, and it'll be shown on Fox.
Do you know that Gene Simmons, of all people, had a Formula One, whatever it's called, Formula team?
Yeah.
He got into that for a while.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Five Finger Death Punch has a monster truck named Knucklehead.
Really?
Is that right?
We do, yep.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's
yeah.
badass,
Have
dude.
you driven it?
I haven't. Zoltan, our guitarist, has it, though.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. You can actually drive it for $5,000 if you go to kissonline.com.
FiveFingerDeathPunch.com.
You know what you should do? You should talk Gene into making a Kiss Craig Gass doll. An imposter doll. Gene would sell the shit out of it.
Dude, there's been times where I've made jokes to his face, and he'll go, I can do that. Like, I remember there was one time when he first confronted me live on the air. I remember he started selling stuff. He started selling the Kiss casket. And I remember Howard going like, wait, is this real? Are you actually selling? He goes, yeah, it's a real casket. It's $5,000. And I kept interrupting and going, you know what else is true, Howard? For $1 million, I will throw Ace Frehley into the casket and you can spend an eternity spooning with Kiss. And I look at Gene, and then he just kind of smiled. And I said, oh, can I just plug one more thing? We have the new Kiss toilet at kissonline.com. You might be asking yourself, what's the difference between a regular toilet and a Kiss toilet? Well, our toilet is a pay toilet. You have to put in a quarter and you do your business while you hear the song Deuce. And Gene Simmons looked at me and went, I could do that. And I was like, get the fuck out of here.
What else we got? Let's do one more.
Well,
Matt.
I don't know how I missed this last New Year's Eve, but Snoop Dogg's coming back for a New Year's Eve set on NBC. He's teaming up with NBC and rocking in the new year with Snoop Dogg's New Year's Eve special. Set to air live from Miami.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Snoop Dogg fan.
Absolutely.
I love the fact that he turned whatever he was into whatever he is.
Yep.
I think the guy's an American hero.
Dude,
I love him.
His commentary on the Tyson fight
On
on
anything.
Olympics, brilliant.
Dude.
Hey, mama.
Yeah.
It looks like these 2 uncles out there in the yard.
Yeah.
Hey, grandma. They
Yeah.
out there fighting again.
Hilarious, man.
Ryan Seacrest, he's coming for you. It'll be Snoop Dogg.
Well, that's the thing, Luke. When you let guys like Snoop Dogg or other just characters, man, when you let characters have a microphone, you realize how fucking cheesy and shitty most like typical broadcasting is. It's just so boring and vanilla. You know, because we're all sitting in our living room going, look at these 2 old bastards in there beating the shit out of each other.
I actually got a Peacock subscription because of Snoop Dogg doing the Olympic commentary.
Is that right?
It is so
brilliant.
damn good.
Yeah.
They talk about like the horses and they're doing like the dancing.
Yeah.
And it's like, look at that horse out there. Yeah, they're quit walking. And he stands up and does it. It's so funny.
Matt, you want to do that's the facts, Matt, or you want to rip? They got about 4 minutes left.
Up to you guys.
You pick 2 stories, we'll do them.
Oh, Lord.
All right, that's the facts, Matt. Brought to us by Barnes Paving, barnespaving.com, BARNES paving.com. Give them a call, 443-243-3710. And if you mention Mickey Talks, you get 10% off, and all the fine people there at Barnes Paving. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys pick a story here. We could talk about all the garbage that we've left on the moon. We could talk about there's a candidate for South Jersey who's selling feet pics online.
Wait a minute. That ain't a bad one.
All right, let's go.
Is it a dude or a lady?
It's a lady.
All right, I'll listen.
So a candidate for South Jersey's Assembly is selling feet pics online. Something's afoot in South Jersey. Rebecca Holloway, a Democratic candidate running for state assembly in South Jersey, was found selling photos of her feet on an adult content website for people with foot fetishes.
Yeah.
Holloway is a single mom and a home health aide. She joined the race in New Jersey's 3rd legislative district against 2 Republican incumbents. Her campaign site doesn't mention this side gig, but she's open to it about it online, calling it her, quote, slutty era, and promising more spicy content after the election on November 4th.
And subscribed.
So brave. So brave. Opening the door for sluts everywhere.
By the way, Chris, the timing was impeccable.
Thank you.
Your
Chris.
chops are world class at this point.
Chris, man,
That's
I'm telling
hilarious.
you, he's like one of the funniest dudes I've ever met.
You know, think about it though. We are entering an era where people were raised, generations were raised, where there's really no more pride or sort of sense of honor or dignity.
Mhm.
If you can get it any way you can get it.
Yeah.
You're going to see politicians out there for real,
Mhm.
like dick pics and shit, like, and don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to run, and some girl he used to date's going to go, he sent me 14 dick pics. Here they are.
Yep.
And they're going to get released, and he's going to go like this. Yeah, I sent her a picture of my dick. We were dating. What's the big deal? Like, it's me. How many guys have sent dick pics? Not me. I'm not me. I'm not sending dick pics.
Real quick,
It's embarrassing enough owning it.
I have an exclusive. I want to show you my dick pic.
Show the camera that. Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's an actual pic that he uses on
That's
stage.
hilarious,
Yeah.
man.
And it says the word dick in capital letters. And
Yep.
he throws it out in the audience, and people
After-
get his dick pic.
After I started printing those and I would throw them out at shows, I
That
saw
is
someone
brilliant.
comment on Facebook, I think it was.
Yeah.
They're like, I got one of his dick pics. I thought it was going to be a little bigger. And I responded, it hit you in the forehead from the stage, didn't it?
Hey, Craig, we're going to wrap up. Matt, you know I love you, but this show's just been so much
of
fun,
course.
dude. That's the facts. Matt, you're the best. Craig, I need a favor, though.
Sure.
I need you to end this show for me.
Okay.
And it's just a personal request. As Al Pacino,
Okay.
wishing us luck with you, Mickey and Matt, with this show. You could take it anywhere you want, but I just want a nice kind of something I can wake up to and listen to every day to motivate me from Al Pacino.
You got it. And if you want to see me and Chris, by the
Please.
way, Friday night, if you're going to the Boardwalk Rock Fest, come join us on Friday night in Ocean City. Chris Kael, Five Finger Death Punch, a hilarious comedian, and myself, Craig Gass, who you know from Family Guy, King of Queens, Howard Stern, etc. We're doing a comedy show for all of our friends who are performing this weekend at Boardwalk Rock Fest, and you can join us. Go to getgas.com. Getgas with 2 S's.com.
I'm not going to lie, your Pacino sucks now. It used to be way better. No, I'm kidding.
Let me tell you something.
Oh, my God.
I'm sitting here. I'm looking at this friend of mine. You telling me you're not going to make time for my boy, Mickey? This man can hold his head up in all 5 boroughs, my friend. My man, Mickey, coming to you, begging for your attention. He bleeds for you. My friend bleeds for you. Is that some kind of insurmountable task that you can't give him your time? Check in every day with my friend Mickey as he gives you his heart and his soul. That's all a man can give.
And don't forget Matt, Mr. Pacino.
Fucking Matt. Mickey and Matt every day, right here, same time, same motherfucking channel. Hooah.
Craig Gass, listen, you know I think you're a genius. I love you. You make me laugh so hard. But more importantly, dude, you're my brother. I love you, man.
I love you too.
I'm there for you 24/7.
And you have been.
And I will be. And I think you're amazing. Chris, if you're a friend of Craig's, you're my brother as well.
Likewise, my friend.
So, man, look, your podcast, Beardo and Weirdo.
Beardo and Weirdo.
Find it, and it's just rock and roll stories and crazy shit,
Dude,
right?
this week's episode is Kerry King surprises us this week, but man, there are some crazy episodes with Bert Kreischer. There's only 14, 15 of them. Beardo and Weirdo. You can find it on YouTube,
I love
anywhere you get your
That's
podcast.
awesome.
And it's we got a great partnership with Loudwire for it. And it's been in such a short amount of time, it's become an amazing thing of us exploring our own mental health, our happiness, recovery. It's been way crazier than we expected.
Well,
Very
dude,
therapeutic.
if I can ever help you in any way on your show, let me know. And you got a green light here. You know that.
Absolutely.
Both of you, bro. So,
Absolutely.
for real.
Yeah, the
All right.
stories we've shared today would be great on the podcast.
Oh, I'll do that all day. Matt, you're the best. You know that. Where can people find us, buddy?
Well, you want to be on YouTube for us now because Facebook soon, not going to happen. It's youtube.com/@MickeyTalksPod if you want to find us there and subscribe, please.
I definitely will. Everybody, thank you. We will be back tomorrow. Who's our guest tomorrow? Do you remember?
We're supposed to lock in a guest. We had to move a guest, right?
Is that what it was? I thought that was today.
Hold on.
I don't know. We don't know what the hell's going on this show.
Oh, it's Dean Crawford. What did
Yeah,
I say?
Dean Crawford,
Yeah,
great local country musician.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking. He's
Sorry, Dean.
Jamaican, right? Jamaican.
I think so.
He's mixed, Jamaican and white. He's like a black country singer,
Wrote
dude.
our theme song.
But no. He didn't write the theme song. Dennis Shockett
Oh, my
wrote
God.
the theme song.
All right,
Matt,
I quit.
You're
I'm
fired.
leaving.
You're
Hey,
fired.
I'm
They-
out.
They don't all sound the same, all right?
See you guys tomorrow. Love every one of you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good night.